Hello and welcome back to another Founders Masterclass. I am your host, Anna Ogan, and I am very happy that you guys are taking the time to learn even more about AI and all of its possibilities. So, thank you for taking the time to be here. This is not our only masterclass. Maybe you missed the one last week, or maybe you want to learn more in the future. We have plenty on the way. And keep on the events page. I'll just quickly show you how to do that in case you don't know. Let's go here. No, this one. Yes, here we are. So this is the masterclass we have today, Reconstructing Meaning in the Age of AI. If you join this masterclass, you probably have already seen this page before, or you might have come in from Michelle's LinkedIn post. So thank you for joining whatever way you came in from. But here is the next masterclass, The Evolution of Creativity in the Age of AI with Maribeth. Feel free to join. And then if you missed one, you can always go back and press watch again. So it's never too late to continue to learn, even if life comes up and you're on the way. So let's go ahead and talk a bit about today's masterclass. So today we have Michelle. Michelle is passionate about helping people grow and thrive at work with 15 plus years of experience in learning, leadership development. She's helped teams around the world become more inclusive, innovative, and future ready. She brings a thoughtful, people first approach to everything she does, whether she's designing a new learning strategy or leading global transformation initiatives. I thought there was a malfunction, but there wasn't. And I also wanted to say that she has a podcast. So you might notice that she's a very well-spoken individual. So if you're interested in learning more about AI on the go, who doesn't love a good podcast? You can tune it in and continue. It's an AI-related podcast. But why would I speak about it when we can listen to her? Please welcome Michelle. Hello.
Now you've made me have pressure to be well spoken. I'm
Oh,
gonna do it
sorry,
now.
but it's natural.
Oh, hello everybody. So happy to be here.
We're happy to have you. I don't know if you can see, but there's a lot of comments coming in already. So
Yes. Hello, hello, hello. I recognize some of these beautiful people. Hello. And to everyone that I don't know yet, welcome. I am excited to hear from you as we go through this.
yes. Well, without further ado, I'll let you take over. If you need me, I will pop in and out throughout.
Okay, I just need to present. So I'm going to click on my presentation, correct? There I
Yes.
am. Yay. All right. So today what we want to be able to do is really look at how we have an opportunity right now to reconstruct our meaning around work, around interaction with the tools that we choose to use. So this is not really an AI workshop from the standpoint of we're learning an AI tool. We're not doing that today. We're really trying to throw a spotlight on what old habits are we possibly bringing to the table that are blocking us from unlocking the real innovative possibilities with AI. And the way we want to be able to do that is we want to be able to kind of call out what are some of the actual things that might be blocking us. What are some habits that we might be bringing from our corporate experience or our industry experience that have become so ingrained in us that we don't even realize we're still doing it? And then how do we take that knowledge and attack it from a standpoint of what if we were prompting AI more for possibility instead of out of habit? And then from that, we'll spend some time rebuilding and zeroing in on how we can get that from our work. And I'll give you an opportunity by the end to actually create your own personal AI co-creation blueprint where you can look at the steps that you can take that are possible and move that forward for the most productivity possible. And so with that being said, why the heck am I talking to you today? Why me? I wanted to let you know a little bit about me before we move forward. So, as Anna mentioned, I am a podcaster, and the I think the biggest win that I have gotten out of that podcasting experience is that I get to talk to women constantly who are using AI in these innovative, creative, and thoughtful ways. And I learn from that. Every episode is an opportunity for me to not only amplify the work that those women are doing, but also to learn. I'm thinking of things in new ways now because of the conversations I get to have with these amazing women. And so I wanted to take some of that learning and just share it. And if you haven't had a chance to listen to the podcast yet, give you an opportunity to kind of get a sense of what it is that we are learning when we're interacting with each other so collaboratively. So, what I'm going to be doing is sharing some of that learning with you today. And then, if you want to check out some of these women yourself, then I'm going to connect you with them as best as I can. So, we're going to try to make this as collaborative as possible. I want you guys to feel free to type into the chat questions that come up for you. I'm going to be asking you some things as well, because with my background in podcasting, I'm used to a conversational style approach. So, I really do welcome that. So, please do feel free.
And
Anna's
I will be here to also have a conversation whenever you need. But I think that
exactly.
it's so valuable to share your information and also really listen to what people are saying, especially in the AI field, because I think that there's not enough of that. We're just so much information overload, we get overwhelmed. So I applaud you.
Exactly. Well, but that's so true. That's so true. And it's so helpful to have someone that helps you tease out what it is that you are thinking about, or helping you just brainstorm with someone else. And so that's really the power of the podcast. And I want to try to bring that energy into this space as well.
Let's
So
do it.
put those comments in there. All right. So here we go. So one of the things I wanted to make clear is we're not here today to learn AI, right? We're more here to unpack, are there certain habits that we're bringing with us into our interactions with AI that might be tripping us up or unknowingly limiting the types of output that we get from AI? So I want you guys to just take a moment, and I want you to think about what might be one work habit that you've carried from past roles that you suspect might be holding you back from fully leveraging what's possible with AI. Is it micromanaging? Is it a perfection first mindset where maybe you're coming from a history where you had to know the answers? Is it a belief that value comes from me working really hard for a very long period of time to get a product? What types of beliefs from the past might be holding you back? And I offer you the chat. Please feel free to dump some of those ideas in the chat. If I was going to put an idea in there that I feel has held me back, it's that I'm very used to staying in a particular lane. And I'm very used to hitting a wall with what I know. And so I oftentimes have to pull back, and I have to stop what I'm doing, and I have to go outside to go learn something because it's outside of my area of expertise.
That's actually so funny that you said that, because I was thinking in a very similar way. I think, going about doing, whether it's my work task or just anything online, being a Gen Z, like there's things that I've done in a certain way my whole life. And maybe there is an AI tool out there that, would do a lot of these things for me on my own.
Mhm.
But I also just don't have as much knowledge as I would like to. I know it exists out there, but I think it's also like the amount of things that exist, I find to be very, how do you find, these tools to be able to do the task? And how do you, and for me right now, I think working two jobs, I just do not have as much time as I would like to be able to maximize what is out there, because there
Hmm.
is solutions. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, that is true. We don't know what we don't know, right? I cannot articulate strongly enough that there's so much pressure, I think,
yeah,
that we put on ourselves to have that perfect response. I'm seeing perfectionism come up multiple times. Or the idea, as you said, of doing everything yourself, right? Doing everything
mhm,
yourself because
yeah,
that's where you come from, not asking for help when you need it. Yeah, I totally get that. And thinking, okay, I have to do all of this on my own. I think, especially with women, there is a strong sense of I need to bring my 100%, 120%, my perfect response to the table, because we do have all that pressure to perform and to perform well and to represent the best of the best, right? And so it's like, "Ooh, wow. That can sometimes bring undue baggage into the way we choose to interact with AI." So I want us to sit and stay with whatever that is for us and recognize that. Not that it's wrong, not that there's a better way, but just sit and stay with it just as what it is, without judgment, just in total open honesty. I myself am bringing a lot of experience to the table, right? I'm an older AI user and I'm bringing all that experience with me. For better or worse, that baggage is coming with me as I interact with AI. So, recognizing that, I think, is part of that very first step. And so, if we think about that, I call that corporate mindset residue, right? So think of it like I was teasing Anna. It's like I just dusted all of this space because it was going to be on camera, right? So that residue, that dust has settled on us because of our previous industry and corporate experience. And we're not alone in that. AI is new to everyone. So I think as we recognize, we've got to start to recognize that there's an old way that we were used to doing things. And then there's this very serious clash that comes as we interact with AI. But the good thing is that there is a new way to walk out that light at the end of the tunnel. We are walking towards a new possibility. So let's say that one of our corporate mindset residue points is perfection, right? And I love you all for putting your best honest self in the chat. Thank you so much for doing that. I feel that this is shared by many. So that's actually one of my very first points that you'll see here. Perfection before publication. That's an old way of thinking that we bring, rightfully so, from our previous experience, right? So that endless polishing, that need for perfection. There is a real clash with AI when we are functioning in that reality, because working solo, compartmentalizing, waiting for that perfection actually stalls outcome. And AI really is best when we can give it our vaguest, most scattered collection of thinking and then iterate with it, co create a brand new structure out of all of our scattered, imperfect, vague thoughts. AI thrives in that kind of environment if we know the right types of questions to ask. And so I want to encourage us to just, again, recognize that mindset and see that there is a brighter way to move forward with iterative co creation. Another residue mindset block that I see is that idea of stay in your lane, right? I am an expert in a particular thing. Do we have the change slide? I think we do, right? I can see stay in your lane. Can we all see that?
this one says the real block, corporate mindset residue, stay in your lane. It's this one, right?
Yes, yes, yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
I heard it click and I didn't see it move. So
Oh, okay. And let me know if there's any delay, because I can slow myself down just a touch. So if we have that idea of stay in your lane, this is what you know, it puts barriers around where we feel we can contribute. AI is excellent at bridging knowledge gaps. So if there's something I don't know, I'm used to in my previous world stopping. I stop at a certain point and I either go learn it for myself somewhere else, or I go take a training, or I go outside to go get that knowledge. Whereas now I can just ask and literally have to put a post-it at the bottom of my computer. Have you asked Chat GPT yet? Have you asked a large language model yet? And it's that idea of AI bridging knowledge gaps, being new information for us to build a new habit around where we can experiment across disciplines with AI as a part of our team now. And I will get to talk about that just a little bit more. I want to take a moment and just recognize some comments that I'm seeing in the chat. And Daniela is saying, I'm used to gathering information myself, even though it takes time. Yes, that literally, we have such common experiences around this, where it's that idea of stopping what we're doing, stepping outside, going and gathering information to move forward. And it's this, I think, when we recognize that we can bridge that knowledge gap by just asking, I think sometimes it helps. As we learn that, it becomes a new habit. I love this. Okay, Carlema is actually pointing out the hallucinating part in AI is what makes me skeptic. That is a healthy skepticism. We can always expect to need to verify. We definitely want to be able to trust what we're getting. And so that becomes a part of a very healthy iterative conversation with AI. So don't think that that is something we're ever going to need to get rid of. We don't. The hallucination part is really what helps keep us involved. We need to have an ongoing ability to be the human in the loop. I 100% agree with that. I want to take a moment and give you all one other real block that tends to happen. And this is both, I think, corporate mindset residue and what I like to call the Google effect. We have this idea that we can ask a question and we will get the answer, right? We are used to typing into a search bar, scrolling through various websites, some of which have paid sponsors putting them at the top, and then the other ones are just what Google has determined are the top. And so we're used to scrolling through these websites to hunt and peck and find the answer. AI can provide a very succinct answer, but my argument is, why settle for that? Why settle for a succinct answer when AI really can do so much more than that? If we can, again, play devil's advocate to the answers that it provides, to the output that it provides, if we can ask better questions that allow for responses that we maybe haven't even thought of yet, then we're going to have a much better experience. So again, these habits are what I'm asking us to just be reflective on. When are we doing this ourselves? And where can we up our game and get possibly better outputs? So I'm just wondering if there's a particular aspect of that that resonated with you. Are there any of those old habits that you see? Anything I said that you want to add to? Something that you've said already? If you want to reflect on something, I want you to feel free again to dump that into the chat, because we want this to be as interactive and productive as possible. So as we are looking at our old habits, we want to feel empowered to change them as needed, to refine what we're asking of AI as best as we can. So I want to get beyond task delegation, right? When we're just asking AI to produce something for us without giving it the nuance and the refining that we need. And what I mean by that is this. Let's say that we have a prompt. So I'm going to have you look over at the left side of the screen over here where we're maybe giving it a prompt that makes AI just a simple task doer. Rather, it's list 5 customer retention strategies, or a prompt I saw someone talking about just this morning where they were saying, write me a cold email that will convert to leads. If we're giving AI a simple task to do, it will provide a limited, simple output, right? But if we're shifting what we ask, then the outcome is going to improve. So if we were to shift that to say, you are a customer retention expert, help me brainstorm underlying reasons for customer churn in, and then you specifically describe the industry, for my business, specifically describing the business. If we start with that, we are automatically helping frame AI to give it a specific role, and we're giving it specific context to our situation. AI has access to the entirety of its data set, which to me, to be honest with you, is quite unfathomable. I can't even imagine how much data. So if I give it a task that is limited in scope, like list 5 customer retention strategies, it will grab whatever random information it grabs. Whereas the more of a defined role I give it, the more context I provide it, I am narrowing the scope of its focus so that it can get me the best of what it can provide. So I want to continue with how we can additionally refine it. Based on those reasons, let's explore 3 unconventional approaches to building customer loyalty. Now I've asked it to think outside the traditional. I've asked it to get very specific on building customer loyalty. And then after it gives me that output, now I'm going to ask it to look at it with a completely different lens. Now critique these 3 ideas from the perspective of a skeptical CFO concerned about return on investment. You are going to get a completely different type of outcome. So I was explaining to Anna earlier before we went live, I really have an issue with people that say, oh, AI and prompting, it's the downfall of critical thinking. It's the downfall of nuanced skill. When really I look and I see, if we are simply asking it to do a basic task, it will mirror that back with a basic response. If we shift, if we refine, if we provide more detail, we are going to get a much more nuanced and, I would say, critical look at what's possible.
Have you ever asked someone a question and they're just like, what do you want from me? I feel like it really helps in a way for us to better communicate, because you have to be more thorough. You have to learn how to use language in order to get the output that you desire. By throwing in some words together and throwing it out, maybe as you would speaking, and the other person has to maybe or maybe not understand you. It really, I think, in this way, you have to learn how to communicate more thoroughly with more detail. And that's a new skill that I think in the long run, in terms of human communication, hopefully we can see some improvements potentially if we get better at prompting and refining our own abilities.
And I do think it's like, that is an old habit that I have picked up, right? Because when I was interacting with Google, I was not able to ask Google anything that is there on the right side of the slide. It would get lost. It wouldn't even know how to respond to that previously. So my habit with Google might be more aligned to what we see on the left side of the slide. And it's that habit that we're bringing to the table because we need to relearn what is possible. So I think that we have an opportunity, and I want to give you all a chance to think. Imagine you wanted to launch a new product for your business and you wanted to hear from AI, you want to brainstorm. Think of that one initial prompt you might use based on a current habit that you have, and then rewrite that prompt, providing role, context. How might you tell AI that you want to encourage that out of the box thinking? And then how might you follow that up by shifting its role and offering it an opportunity to critique? I really want you to think about what is possible now if you take your initial way of prompting and shift it to something that's more complex, such as what we have here. So with that, I think what we're really asking people to do is rebuild the meaning of work. If we're working with AI more as a co-creator than as a simple task doer, then I think that shifts some things for all of us. I think what we can now begin to think about is what is our unique human value. So and I'm not talking about replacement, right? I'm not talking about AI replacing us. I'm talking about how do we get to elevate now that we have this partner, okay? What is that unique human value that we're bringing to the table? Are you now the strategist, okay? Are you the person that now gets freed up to take that output and strategize? How do we implement this? Are you the synthesizer? That's what I've always been accused of. For better or worse, I'm a synthesizer of information. I see point A, point D, point M, point O, and I see the connections between them. So if that is the opportunity that I now have, is to do more of that, then that allows me to shine, to elevate my skills and bring those to the table more frequently. Are you the visionary? Are you the one that now that you see the product, you can see the 5 steps ahead that it gets to go? All of these I see them as opportunities. Okay. I think, Daniela, you bring up an interesting point. It's not that AI will necessarily make people better at communicating with each other. Relearning language to communicate with technology, that is definitely coming up here, right? That idea of I'm used to communicating with a search engine and I have a certain way that I do that. Now I need to rethink. If I'm communicating with a co-creator, if I'm communicating with a thought partner, I'm rethinking what that is all about, right? I love that. Elevating is the future. Okay, it can be. I agree with you. I believe this is Kinga, is it not? Hi, Kinga. That idea of choosing to interact with AI in such a way that we are purposefully learning how to get the best out of it that's possible. Okay. Not sitting and staying with what we knew to be true, moving from those habits into an interaction where we expect to challenge what we get. We're looking for hallucinations. We are able to bring deeper level, nuanced specialty to the table, and then expect AI to do the same. Not that we take what it gives us at face value. Not ever. We don't ever take that first response, right? We're going to learn to challenge that. We're going to learn to ask it to give us a little bit more, try a little harder. So if we have this new time allocation, we have these new metrics that we're putting on the table, kind of take a moment to think, how is your role evolving? So if AI handles X, right? Whatever that is for you. If it handles that particular task, what are your new performance indicators for yourself, for your business? How does your role shift as a leader if you are now recognizing you have an opportunity to co-create and collaborate human to AI? So these are just some thoughtful questions I want to put to the table. I offer an opportunity for you all to put your thoughts in the chat. Feel free to not have 100% clarity as you type. I don't have 100% clarity around my answers to these because I'm still figuring that out. That's how new all of this conversation is. We're learning collaboratively right now. And while we might be thinking, God, I already have to have this figured out, you don't. Recognize that's that perfectionism that we called out at the very beginning. We do not have to know yet. And that's okay because this is all so new. We're learning it together. So what I would strongly encourage everyone to do is just be okay with not having 100% of this figured out, but recognize that there are some steps that we can take to develop this co-creation kind of framework. And I do want to share that with you all. I want to give you a concrete way we can try to make this a little bit more tangible. And so I'm really looking at 4 significant points, I think. One, we talked about this initially, that idea of recognizing the old habit. Recognizing and choosing what is one old habit that we want to leave behind. Rather it's staying in your lane, rather it's perfectionism, rather it's asking those straightforward task doer type questions. Choose one. Choose one that you want to let go of. And then what are we replacing it with? What is that new AI practice that you're adopting? Okay, are we going to use AI to bridge the knowledge gaps? Are we going to develop a routine of that iterative feedback? And then for point 3, I really want to give people some language with which to start this process, right? So if we're asking AI to explore, what are the potential blind spots for my idea? What am I missing? Asking that question of AI, asking AI, what are my blind spots? What am I missing? Huge potential for you to get outside of your own head, not take the very first response, right? Get outside of your own limited thinking and allow AI to point out things that you had never even thought of before. What can I expect from you is another fantastic question. And again, I really want to thank Kay Stoner. If you want to really learn from someone, you want to get yourself over to LinkedIn, you want to look up Kay Stoner, Kay, and then Stoner, just like it sounds, because she has really sparked this passion in me to ask better questions. If I give an ideal outcome to AI, that question, what can I expect from you? What can I expect you to bring to the table? That's going to open up some ahas for me because I might have already decided what an output or an answer might have looked like, but it's going to surprise you. Also, that final point, really prepare yourself for open-ended questions. I'm calling it prompting here, but really I think it's questioning. Prompting, a lot of people are limited in their definition of what a prompt is. They might think of it as a task doer type style of writing. I'm going to ask you to think of it as open-ended prompting is the same thing as open-ended questions, right? We're exploring the limits of what's possible with an AI, whether it be a research tool, whether it be a large language model that you're already comfortable with. Begin to think in terms of open-ended questions. Begin to think in terms of providing it with context and data that it can then work with to provide you with an answer that has more specificity and more possibility than previously. Oh, look at this. All right. Yes. So much. Exactly. And Daniela, if that is your human value, that is a unique gift. That is a beautiful thing. So we want to teach AI to give you what you would expect from your own self, right? You're expecting that out of the box thinking. Now let's teach AI to provide you with something that is not surface level. Yes. Oh, Lily, I love that. Have Chat and Claude check each other's work. I love it. Yeah, it will give you literature reviews. It'll bring you back sources, but without that feedback, without that iterative back and forth that you're talking about there, we're limiting what's possible, right? If we just take what it gives us, like we're used to taking from Google, oh, okay, here's my top 5. This is what Google gave us. We don't have to limit ourselves in that way. We can push, we can play devil's advocate, we can ask it to look at what it provided with another lens, right? We can definitely continue to iterate with it. I love that you guys are bringing this up. So, as we begin to think about this and we begin to think about what's possible, I really want to give you that opportunity to kind of solidify your intentions. What might we commit to doing as we move forward? What would it look like if we committed to not prompting in a traditional or expected way? What might it look like if we committed to questioning more thoroughly? So I think there's some real key principles with expecting to co-create with AI. I think first there's a mindset shift. We've got to, I think, consider that our mindset plays a role. How we choose to interact is really coming from our own history with using technology, right? I think prompting for possibility opens up a whole new set of doors for us. Giving it the specific context, the background that it needs, so that it knows the specific role you want it to take on. And defining that role and giving it the background about your situation, your circumstances, is going to help refine how it interacts with you, as well as unlearning that old habit that might be holding you back. So I asked you to choose a particular way of being, a particular habit that you feel might be limited in its possibilities. And if we can let go of that, have this new expectation of iteration and refinement. It's never going to provide an output that is perfect the first time. Have you come up with a rubric that you can share with the AI? Here's the metrics that I'm measuring your output on. Here's what I am critiquing. I'm the guide. Adopting that sense of being the guide as it provides output to me allows me to develop that partnership. I would never have a role with an intern, because so many people call AI our intern, right? I would never have a role with an intern that didn't include feedback, that didn't include opportunities to improve, right? And so this is that relationship we want to begin to adopt with AI. We want to iterate, we want to refine, we want to provide feedback, tell it what we like, tell it what we don't like. We want to challenge the AI. We want to ask it to justify, to consider alternatives. We want to play devil's advocate, and we want to make sure that we are never accepting at surface level what's being provided to us, always being that human in the loop and giving it an opportunity to up its game through the questions that we ask it. So as we kind of look at this, it's that idea of what will it mean for us to lead? Because that's really what we are. We're leaders at this point. Whether we think of ourselves as that or not, I think that we are, because this is so new. This is so grassroots beginning stages that anyone who is having these conversations right now, you are a leader. And in that sense, I'm asking, what does it mean to lead in this new environment? I think it becomes vital for us to lead change from a space of shared learning and collaboration. And I find that to be true as I'm hosting the podcast. As I mentioned earlier, I am constantly learning from my interactions with others. I'm constantly learning from what these women are bringing to the table and what they are sharing with me as they experiment and develop their experiences with AI. Find your people and learn with them. That is definitely a part of, I think, how we move forward. Because leadership does not have to be solo, and it's definitely not connected to a title. It's through our actions and through our collaborations that I think we can really embrace this role of leadership. So I wanted to be able to share with you not just an opportunity to ask questions, but also I've put up 3 QR codes here on the screen. One of them is to my LinkedIn profile. You can definitely connect with me, share any thoughts that you have about today, as well as the YouTube channel for the podcast, because there are so many women having these amazing conversations that I would love for you to meet them. So if you want to check out some of these women on the podcast, please do use that QR code and go listen, learn from any of these amazing women. And then the last QR code, forgive me if I've forgotten the order that I put them in, but I think that's the way it goes. The last QR code, I took this presentation and it is a website. So the entire presentation is converted to a website. So you can go back to any of the particular prompt frames that you saw here that maybe resonated with you, that you didn't have time to write down. This whole presentation is available to you there on that website. I'm not ever going to take it down. It's just there for you. It'll allow you to go through the presentation again at a pace of your leisure. So at this point, I think we have about 10, 15 minutes wide open for questions. If anyone would like to ask anything, or if anyone wants to share any thoughts, I'm happy to just have a dialogue.
I have lots of thoughts.
I
Well,
would love to hear all the thoughts. But really quickly, is it Karima? I want to say Karima. Karima, the link to the website is there in the QR code. You just have to scan the QR code with your phone. There we go. Yeah. If you scan the QR code, that will take you right to the website.
maybe this will be easier in this setting because it's still quite big.
There we go. Yeah.
But firstly, thank you for all your amazing insights. I think it is really refreshing. I think listening to you speak in general and how calm and collective you are. I feel like a
Oh,
lot of times in AI in general, it seems like there's a lot of chaos. And I feel like you gave me like this zen throughout the whole talk that made me feel very much at peace. And I feel like
you
there's
are
so
so
much.
kind.
It's very true. Yeah, this is why your podcast is going to be amazing. Like, and only going to get better and better. I've listened to a few. I really, really highly recommend it. If you guys are interested in AI, if you like this, to go and watch it. Not watch it, listen to it. Do you
Yeah,
don't
no,
record it, do
thank
you?
you. I have some amazing guests. That's I give all the credit to the people that come on the show because they are just really cutting edge. they're doing some amazing work and I get to learn from them. So it's a win-win for me.
Yeah, that is the best part. I mean, that's exactly why I love doing these master classes, because it's a time where I sit down and I get to listen to all of these incredible people. And everyone, has knowledge to bring, I think, at the end of the day. We all come from such different backgrounds. And I get to have an hour every Thursday to learn from intelligent people about artificial intelligence, which is great. So I completely relate to what you're saying. Like AI is always learning from its data. We are always learning, but you can also decide, not to learn. You can switch off that box, just like you can stop feeding information to the AI system. So it is very interesting, I think, how AI, and we talked about this before, is very much a replicate, not replicate, a model of a lot of human behavior.
Yeah.
And yes.
Yeah, that mirror. We get what we put into it, right? So that idea of the more thoughtful, the more iterative, the more we can refine, I think the better outcomes we're going to get. And Ursula, I see your comment. Thank you so much for saying that. It makes me feel like I'm cheating. Does someone feel the same way? Okay, this is such a thing to talk about. I love that you brought that up. I go to the story of there was a time when pens, as we know them today, the pen that we write with, right? It was a new creation, right? We moved from quill and ink to the pen. And I will never forget hearing the story of Catholic nuns that believed that the downfall of humanity was because we were moving from quill to pen, because we no longer had to dip the ink. It was going to be terrible. People were just going to be lazy because we had moved on to pens. And that story sticks with me because I've never known a quill to ink moment, right? But I also do not feel lazy using a pen. I am living in a different time, right? And so this idea of laziness that we feel, that's the novelty of the tool. Just like pens were a novelty at one point. And so it's more of throwing into highlight, if you will, where we used to set value, right? Value was from time spent on task. If it took me a really long time to do it, then I could charge more for it. If it took me a really long time to create that thing, then that meant it was more valuable. And now we have to rethink that. And so we just innately feel like we're cheating because it didn't take a long time, or it came to us through a prompt that was a really good prompt with a really good tool. So now I'm cheating. We have to rethink that. And it's hard. I completely agree with you. It's difficult.
I actually wrote that down. When you were going over your slide, I was answering your questions, and sometimes I would write down some notes. But one of the things I wrote down was guilt. I think there's a lot of times with AI in general, you're not spending this extra time to do a task, just like you said, to Google it and then find the information this old way. You're just kind of taking a shortcut, is what it feels like, and like you're cheating in a lot of ways. So my question to you is, how do we go about overcoming this guilt, overcoming this feeling that we're cheating? How do we move past it?
Hmm. I think the more we move from, in my experience, okay, I can only speak from my reality, right? In my reality, in my experience, the more I go back and forth with AI,
Mhm.
the more the work becomes a contribution from me, right? If I put something into AI and I say, write me this email, and I copy and paste it and I put it
Mm.
into a LinkedIn post. I say, that's it right there. There's my post. Boom. That was something that AI created. Maybe someone has guilt around that level of ease, right? But if I'm constantly iterating with it, if I'm giving it examples, if I'm giving it a response like, ooh, here's what I like about that, here's what I don't like, here's what I want to see instead, and then I reframe it and I iterate with it and I refine with it, then that becomes much more my product because I've had much more significant input in it. And that's where I think we get into, if I was doing that with a human being, then that would be something that we created together, right? My input is in there. But because it is something that is created with a technology, then we begin to think, okay, wait, how much of this is mine? How much of this is the machine's? And I think the more we refine, the more we play devil's advocate, the more we add our own voice into it, the more it becomes our own. But that's just from my experience.
I know, I love this answer. I love one thing you said also during the podcast, that like I am the guide. So
Yeah.
often we are, we are not just taking what AI is giving it to us. We're guiding it to get the answer that we want. And sometimes we look at the word, I think, prompt engineering, and we think one prompt, yet and done. But we also forget that the whole purpose is also to reiterate, like reiterate engineering. Maybe that's another term that could come up, because
Iterative engineering, right? Yeah.
engineering, exactly. Yes, exactly. And I think that you are completely right. And also, there was this very interesting education LinkedIn post I saw the other day, where someone was talking about, well, we should assume that the students are going to use AI. So we should give tasks for them to go home, write an essay with AI, but then bring that essay to class and then use your human brain to take account of, to improve it, use
Mhm.
your creativity. Don't just, accept what is given to you. I think when you do that and you stop putting your own brain into it, whether that's interacting with it or by adding it to adding to what it has given you,
Yep.
then I think you can reduce that feeling of guilt a lot.
Right.
And yeah, in general. There's a lot of other comments, so I will
Oh
stop
my
talking.
God. No, I mean, I think you're spot on. And there's if you use, I mean, plagiarism is plagiarism, right? Cheating is
For
cheating.
sure. Yeah.
Nothing has changed there. I'm not saying it's not cheating. I'm saying if we interact with it differently, then we have the ability to change that narrative. We have the ability to interact with it, to iterate with it, to create a different reality. This isn't binary. It's not if you use AI, then you're cheating. It's how might we interact with the tool so that we capitalize on all that is great about us and move forward with the tool that helps us move forward, right? So it's more I keep going back to the word iterative. So it's much more interactive. I see, Megana, I see your, I hope I'm saying your name right. Recommending other AI professionals. Oh my goodness. I would go on for the next 30 minutes. There are so many amazing women doing amazing things right now. If you think, I'm just thinking of the previous guests from just the last couple of weeks. Kinga, Rachel Zipsy, Kinga. We've got, oh my goodness, we've got Amanda Jeffs is doing amazing things with Rachel Gaia. Anne Murphy doing amazing things with She Leads AI. We have so many. There's too many to name. Seriously, I mean, I know Anna, you're getting the same, right? Because we're interacting with some of these people, just being like, okay, we could do master classes for the rest of forever with these women. Deanna Leonard doing amazing things. Dawn Christie. I would encourage you to go to the podcast, not in a self-serving for me kind of way, but literally look at those names. The names of the women that I've been interviewing, I have been absolutely wowed by. So go look at those names. They are, many of them, I would say 99% of them are over on LinkedIn, and you can connect with them there. Take some time to see what topics resonate with you, which are the people that you would like to connect with. Just go through those episodes looking at the names. I would love it if you listened, but hey, It's about getting you connected to people and find a community that resonates with you. We have Women Defining AI that's doing amazing work. If you're interested in building, she leads AI. She is AI. There's quite a few communities out there as well where you can connect with women. I haven't had a chance to interview everybody yet, but that is the goal. Let's see. I want to make sure we answer some questions. Oh, you liked, okay, what can I expect from you? Yeah, right? Isn't that an amazing question? What can I expect from you? What are you bringing to the table, buddy? I'm bringing all my experience. What are you bringing? I love that. Oh, thank you so much. Kind words, kind words. All right. Oh, right back at you. Thank you. Yeah. Yes. Ladies, thank you so much for your time. Yeah, I understand these questions are definitely complicated and intense. And I appreciate you guys being willing to engage in the conversation with us. I think this is really how we move the learning forward. It is. So keep having the conversations. Definitely connect with people that want to have those conversations with you. And yeah, absolutely great. Thank you.
And
Anna, do we have any closing thoughts? Do we have any additional thoughts? I think we got like 2 minutes left.
I was, reflecting a bit on Meg Hannah's comment about recommending other AI professionals. I also feel AI is so new. Each of you coming and learning about AI and taking time out of your day to do it, taking these courses, you yourself are very educated, and do not dismiss the amount of knowledge that you have about AI. AI is new, and it's like the perfect, I think, moment that everyone's kind of like going at it. Everyone is becoming an AI person, and everyone can, and that's like the beauty of the AI world. And my favorite thing about it is that it's so interdisciplinary. So don't dismiss the knowledge that you have, and make connections on LinkedIn. Reach out to people. I think now is the perfect moment to do so, because so many more people are receptive, because we're all wanting to grow our AI network and meet other people that have valuable knowledge. But yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there, because I think a lot of times we dismiss our own knowledge. So yeah, I know Megan has also come to a lot of masterclasses, so you are wise. Just don't dismiss your own knowledge.
I love that. Thank you. Thank you. And we were actually talking about this in a group that I'm a part of. So many women label themselves as
Yeah,
beginners,
especially women.
especially women, and never dismiss the knowledge that you're bringing to the table. One of the reasons that I wanted to start the podcast was because of the fact that I wanted to amplify what I'm hearing from these women. They didn't necessarily think of themselves as podcast guests. And I was like, oh, yeah, you are. Yeah, you really do have something here. And having them bring that out, a lot of them, they just feel so incredibly empowered after being able to talk and hear from others as well and interact with. It's such a beautiful experience when we really collaborate with people. We get a chance to hear, wait a minute, yeah, I have done some stuff. I have moved some mountains here. This is such a grassroots time. It's so amazing what's possible right now. It really is. I mean, imagine you are witnessing an entire revolution of what is possible. And I don't
Yeah.
say that to be melodramatic. This is an amazing time to be engaged with a tool that is completely unique to our history. I just think you're probably cutting edge as you are right now.
Yes, I could not agree more. I think that's the best part about it. It's just the beginning, but it's also the scariest part about it. And I think I say this like every masterclass or every meetup. Like, I'm excited, but I'm equally terrified, because I don't know if I have so much faith in human nature, but I do have faith in people coming to learn and coming to educate themselves, which is why I'm very passionate about everyone that took the time to be here today. Thank you, Michelle, and thank you for encouraging everyone, and for all of your wise words. Someone just put hi Anna, you said about a platform where we can test our products. I mean,
Hmm.
there we can get. Did I say something about testing our products?
I don't remember that in this conversation. Maybe they're referencing a
Oh, in
previous.
the last session.
There we go.
Are you talking about maybe in our hmm. Now, if you could provide me with more detail with this, I'm going to shoot you my email. Um, and please feel free to email me to clarify this question. Otherwise, because I am a bit, I probably do know it, but it's something like my human mind cannot remember. So this would be nice if I had an AI tool that could tell me right now
There we
to help my ADHD.
go. Oh, thank you, everybody. And thank you, Anna, for having me.
It was a pleasure, and I hope to be on the podcast soon. I also don't consider myself a podcaster, so that'll be reaching out of my comfort zone. But I will love it, and I'll feel, and I'll come over shortly.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yes, me too. Thank you guys again, everyone, for being here, and thank you, Michelle, for taking the time.
Thank you, everybody. Loved it.
Bye.